So I got to talk about this issue, and so I'm going to hit it really hard, really quick. So here it is. 64% of students say they have shared an explicit text message in some form. 37% say that they have passed it on to someone else. And 14%, look at this one, 14% said I passed it on to somebody I don't even know. Like I just know them social media wise. Pass that on. So I share with you the same story I shared with the middle schoolers today, and that goes a girl that I call Sarah. And so Sarah was a high school student of mine who, she was a freshman, and she was dating a boy, and the two of them were, in love and all those good things, and they were going to get married and all that later. And so that was their life, and he continued to ask her, hey, send me a picture, send me a picture, send me a picture. So finally, one night, she decided, what's one picture? So she went in the bathroom, she took one picture, 1 second decision, sent it to her boyfriend, and what happened? 3-4 months later, they break up. And they broke up, if I recall, on a Thursday. And I remember vividly Monday when she got to school, because I got the phone call, that she goes to her locker, and what was shoved into her locker but a photocopy of that picture shoved into her locker. Mortified, she ran to her car at lunch. She gets to her car, and what did she find on the windshield? A photocopy of that picture on her windshield of her car. And that was her life for the next several weeks and almost turned into months, where everywhere she went, people, every laughter she heard, she thought was snickering against her. Every conversation that she had, every boy that showed interest, why? Like those are her life from here on out that she thought. And I remember her sitting in my office with tears in her eyes saying, will I ever get through this? Like, will life get any better? Like, is this it? Like, nothing will go on past this point for me in my life. I will always be known as the slut. I will always be known as the fill in the blank. From here on out. And she ended up actually dropping out of school. And so she missed out on homecoming and missed out on prom because of a 1 second decision that actually at that point it happened a year prior. She dropped out. And the cool news is she was able to get into alternative and was able to finish school in that regard. But she still missed out on all those things that she had a right to, right? Maybe a right's strong. She had the privilege, should have the privilege to enjoy and didn't get to. And so the flip side of that was there's two sides of this story, right? There's Sarah's story, and then there's the boyfriend's story. So the boyfriend decided to send it to his friends on the football team, and the whole football team had it by Monday. The whole football team sent it to the baseball team. The whole baseball team sent it to the rest of the school. Girls sent it because they were jealous. Girls sent it because they wanted to make fun of her. Guys sent it for guy reasons. And so those continued to pass around in that space for a very, very long time, and it infected the school. To date, we're dealing in the school district I'm from with 4 major criminal situations right now. 4 criminal situations based around this kind of idea, something involving social media and this kind of inappropriate messaging. And so I share a lot of that story very often with students, and I always want to share the two sides of it. So let's talk about Sarah's side first and say that there is hope. Because the reality is that Sarah now is much older. She's gotten through, she started college and she's met a guy and they're dating. They actually got engaged and she's so very excited and so very happy. And I'll never forget just a few months ago where I ran into Sarah and she came up to me with tears in her eyes and hugged me and started talking about the entire, her life, that she didn't think she was ever going to get past this chapter in her life, and that she didn't know she would ever get the innocence and the relationship that she has now and where she is moving forward, which is pretty darn cool, which is pretty exciting. So I tell students in schools all the time, you might be a Sarah and you made that 1 second decision and you think that life's over. And so they need to talk with an adult. They need to talk with a trusted adult, a parent, a teacher. And so my plea to you is if a student comes and talks with you about that issue, the worst thing we can do is be like, you did what? And react in negativity, anger, frustration. I know that you're embarrassed that your kid did that or this, that, and the other. We've got to choose to respond with love in this moment, and heartbreak is fine too, and let us cry, and then let's figure out how we move forward together from that. Because the worst case would be they come to you and they share that moment and we respond in anger. You're grounded from your phone. You can't be trusted with this, because now they can't even trust the adults. They're being shunned by their friends. They're being shunned by the loving parents in their lives. And now who are they left with? And that's where we get to even a scarier place where we're talking about a whole nother conversation, aren't we? And I don't want to be in that conversation. And so let's talk about what we can do to be loving, be kind, be considerate, to respond in a healthy manner. That doesn't mean there might not be some consequences to some things in their life, but it's the next conversation. It's not this one. All right, this one's going to be love and kindness. And so I put that on there why do students do it in the first place? Again, it's a hard issue. Why do they choose to make that 1 second decision? Why do they have that decision to make? But I also go on to the second one, the legal ramifications. So let's talk about the boyfriend and what can happen to the boyfriend when they consider to pass that on. Now, in the state of Oklahoma, we don't have specific laws that are in this regard yet. They're working on them. They just haven't been ratified yet. Other states have already finally put them into place. California's got them. A couple other states have them. But the truth is, in Oklahoma right now, if you decide to send on a picture, whether you took it or not, you now have officially transponded child pornography. And in the state of Oklahoma, if convicted, being 18 years or older, if you're convicted in that crime, you face jail time at the worst. On the best case scenario, you register as a sex offender the rest of your life. And so I tell students when we are talking about that, that means on the top of your license, sex offender in big red letters. That means every time you move to a new town, it's pulling out a map saying, do I live near a school or a park? Because if I do, I can't. That means going to the police department every 6 months and checking in just because of a picture you decided to send. And a lot of people look at me and go like, that's extreme. That's not extreme, that's normal. I've seen it now more than a few times because as a police officer, I got called to the house at midnight one night with a mom breaking stuff in the house. She was angry. And I walk in on a 911 call and I'm like, what's going on? Like, walk me through this. And the mom's freaking out because she just found out that her baby boy, her 15-year-old, has naked pictures on Instagram on what they call the blast account. And so I was like, what is that? So I'm looking at this account and it says the school blast account, so school blast. And then it said, send us all your nude pics of your friends or our students or friends, something like that. And they started the account 3 hours prior to me seeing the phone. 32 pictures were on there of naked pictures of kids all through the school. 32 pictures in 3 hours were posted of totally different kids. So here's the thing. Mom's freaking out because she's like, what can we do about it? This is crazy. 15-year-old's sobbing because his life's over in his mind. But he didn't take the picture. This is where it gets crazier. He was just in the locker room taking a shower and somebody had the phone out and took a picture of him getting out of the shower. And so I hope that every school has now a policy, we don't take phones in bathrooms. In fact, I was listening just last week, my football coach at the school that I'm at, he got on to a player, you cannot have your phone cannot be out in the locker room. That player actually said some interesting words to the coach. Guess who's not on the team anymore? The player. Because that's not how that works. That's a rule, and there's a reason for that rule, because they're in the middle of a lawsuit right now for that exact same issue tied to this one. So I'm looking at this phone, and I'm taking pictures because I have to have evidence. So I'm taking pictures of the pictures, which is awful, by the way. But as I'm taking pictures, I see that every time it refreshes, photos are missing. You see, in that short window of time, social media was going crazy. Cops are involved, and they started deleting the account. Problem was, when it comes to the internet, and we already talked about this before we got started, once you have a URL address to it, it's there forever. We can track it down. It just takes a subpoena. And so you might think that they deleted that account, but the FBI is good at what they do. And if they want to catch you, they catch you. And so when you transfer, and I tell kids this, on Snapchat, it uses a URL. So it's there somewhere. It's called a ghost website or ghost URL. So even though it deletes in 10 seconds, it's in the universe, the internet verse somewhere, if you actually knew the long line. What's crazier still is that we still believe that Snapchat deletes that stuff. When a hack, 2 years ago, proved that 100 million images were being stored on Snapchat's internal hard drives of all of these images that were being passed along. What? Say it's not so. Alexa's listening to us? No way. We know this. Our phones are listening to us. We're accepting those consequences, or rather we're accepting those terms. The consequences are still yet to be determined, aren't they? And I'm not saying build yourself some chicken wire and live out in the country. That's not, Foyle had it. I'm not saying that. All right, I am saying that we've got to take some things a little bit more serious. So, good news, Sarah made it out okay. But there was a moment where we didn't think she would. Bad news, boyfriend didn't make it out okay. He's on trial, which is pretty interesting because he thought it was okay. Everyone does it. 80% of my friends do it. In fact, we took a survey of the athletic department, and we were over 80% of the athletes at the school that I worked with have sent that specific text that we're talking about. 80%. So yeah, the majority of kids are doing it, but you know what? we're going to be moving forward, and it's not going to be a good thing as we move forward. So this is the slide I did share with your kids, so I need to share it with you real quick. This is my ending. I apologize. So it's healthy selfie is what we were kind of talking about. How can you have a healthier selfie? That's the cheesy term. What we're talking about is get real. I want students to get real, and we built that acronym based on that idea. The first one, that will you reconnect with your family? We're encouraging students to reconnect with their family. Teach grandma how to use FaceTime, and then call her once a week. It'd be pretty incredible, wouldn't it? To actually use technology for our benefit. The second one, encourage others daily. What if every single day students sent an encouraging text message to their friends, an encouraging snap, an encouraging post on Instagram, and instead of turning it from what it could be, we use it as a positive tool for good. That's what I'm a fan of. The A is being aware of the toxic. And I think this is probably true for us as it is for our students. If you know that following that person is toxic to you, like every time you see that broken business partner or the boy that broke your heart or the girl that every time you see that account, it wrecks you, then unfollow them. Like snooze them. Facebook gives us the 30-day snooze option. I had to do that with just some entrepreneur friends. Where it's like, I don't want to hear about the products, all right? It is a pyramid scheme, okay? No, anyway, it's not going to go there. And so you got to snooze it because I don't want that kind of negativity in my life. No, I just don't want to drink it, okay? Anyway, the very last one, limit yourself. And so did I lose half of you? You're like, I do drink it. Okay, no. Limit yourself. And so what I mean, the top 3 apps I love, these are all free. I do not work for these companies. I do not get paid anything. I just think they're cool. The first one's Moment. Moment is a monitoring app that just monitors your cell phone use. So every time you pick it up, it keeps track of that. And at the end of the day, it'll go, man, you were on your phone 6 hours. You're like, what? I think it's shocking to students. They think they're on for an hour. When you give them the opportunity to see the numbers themselves, it's shocking. And I don't think you need to do it for them. I think you just need to encourage them, check it out. And you don't need to use it as you don't need to journal their entries every night. Oh, 6 hours today. I don't think that would be healthy. The second app, Forest, is the one in the middle. Forest is really cool. It's based on the idea of distraction versus multitasking. So it basically puts your phone on airplane mode and when you're studying or doing different things. And the longer you don't pick up your phone, the bigger the tree grows. And if you do that enough times, you grow a forest and you can actually save the environment digitally. And so pretty interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. And then the last one's Calm. Calm is a free, essentially it's a meditation app, and it's not some Eastern, that's not what I'm talking about. It just helps you monitor how you breathe. And so it will teach students how to breathe. It might help you how to breathe. It's a meditation in the morning. It'll walk you through what meditation looks like. So maybe you need that 5 minutes of alignment every morning. Try Calm, or Headspace is another really cool app that's out. They will cost, you can do it free for a while, and then you can pay for it if you want after that. And so what are the 3 things that I would say for you? Those were the 4 I gave your students today. These are the 3 that I would give to you. Quality time, lots of it. Can't recommend that enough, right? Students, by leaps and bounds, teenagers view love, spell love, T-I-M-E. Every single time. This has been the same in history over and over and over. So find out what your kids love to do and do it with them. Find time to hang out, Snapchat with them. Text them, spend some time, play Fortnite with them. And I know that might be outside your wheelhouse, but it's something that I think it's important for us to move forward. I'm going to give you a couple resources on the next page, which is the last page, on just some things you can do with your kids. Understand discipline. And I say that because I speak to a lot of parents that we miss discipline. We think discipline is about getting on to them to correct behavior quickly, when discipline is about figuring out what do we need to do to modify behavior so it doesn't happen again. So discipline isn't spanking. Discipline is figuring out what do we need to do so your parameters are set in a way so we don't make that decision again. I used to show a video of a dad that gets mad, and he pulls out his Colt 45 and he shoots his daughter's computer, and it went viral a couple years ago. Just shoots it up on the laptop. And then he's like, you got to pay for that laptop, and you're going to pay for my hollow points that I'm putting in your laptop. And so it's pretty crazy. And parents went crazy. This is incredible. I like to articulate the other side of the thing, in that he lost his daughter. Like that day, he lost his daughter forever. I guarantee you. I guarantee you their relationship never recovered from that moment, because he posted it on her social media account. And parents were like, yeah, great job, Dad. And I was like, yeah, but he just lost his daughter. Guarantee you they don't talk. Because when we respond in that way, we're exasperating our kids. We're not finding ways to help our kids win. We're just embarrassing them, and then that's even worse. So now they've been embarrassed on 2 fronts. Just saying. The last one is speak up at our kids' activities. We cannot keep being frustrated that football coach can have them 8 days a week, right? We cannot keep being frustrated that this coach or that coach keeps them late into the night if we're not willing to say something. We can't get mad at other parents for letting them have their cell phones if we give in too. So at some point, there's going to have to take a group of us to speak up and say, no, we're not doing it on Wednesday nights, or we're not doing it on this day, or we're going to take some time off and do this instead, or we're not paying $3 million so that my daughter can go to a cheer camp and win nationals or grand nationals or whatever they win. All right? I know, stepping on toes. I apologize. So here are those resources. If I could recommend one game, I would recommend Suspend. If I can recommend one movie, I'd recommend Disconnect. If I could recommend one book, Boundaries with Teens. And if I could recommend one internet control thing, I would recommend Circle. And again, I don't get any subsidies from any of these people. Suspend is an amazing game. You can't even buy it at Walmart. That's how cool it is. You can only get it from Melissa and Doug, I think, or Amazon probably. And so Suspend is essentially you can figure it out. Go check it out. I think it's amazing because my 8-year-old can play it, my 13, and I can play it, and my 8-year-old has a chance to win because it takes patience as much as it takes skill. And so it's very unique. Not a lot of games are like that. Disconnect is a real interesting movie of about 6 different social media lives that crash together, and I think that's cool. Boundaries is the best book I've ever seen on parenting teenagers trying to develop boundaries. There's an even incredible adult version that he wrote first called Boundaries, and then he wrote Boundaries with Teens later. And I have a whole list of books. If you want them, go to Surge Leadership, but that's my number one. And then Circle is what I use at my house. So everybody always says, well, what do you use to protect? Do you use Net Sanity? Do you use Family Link? Do you use whatever to block your kids from seeing different things? I use Circle, and this is why. Because at the end of the day, there isn't a software out there that's going to block them completely. But what Circle does is it controls my Wi-Fi on my house. And so at any given time, I can get on my phone right now and see who's online. So I basically put their iPod or their video game console or whatever is using Wi-Fi, I can keep track of how much time they spend on it. I can pause the internet on the Xbox, but not on the computers. I can pause the internet for all of them. I can actually give them extra time so they're only allowed 2 hours a day or an hour a day, but then I can extend that time. Yes? Does it alert you when you say pornography? And so that's exactly. So it does not do those kind of things. And so what's interesting, it's not a monthly service. It's a one-time fee. It used to be $99. I think it's like $50 now. And so it's just the box that enables you to have control of the internet in your household, but it doesn't keep anything out. Like Net Sanity would be my recommendation for that, which is a monthly service you have to pay, $10 a month, I believe, for Net Sanity. We'll do the Q&A. There I am. So there's the end of my spiel. That's who I am. If you're looking for me further, surgeleadership.net or The Surgeberg is my public self that you'll see me in public. I do a lot of different things. So feel free. Please follow me in that capacity. Would love to have that conversation.